G'day everyone, MacWeezyP1 here, and welcome to another cooking video. Today, I will be cooking a Japanese dish that I had in my Japan holiday back in February this year. Today, I'm going to be making Donburi, which is a rice bowl, more specifically, a beef rice bowl. It's such a simplistic dish, yet it contains so much flavor and joy. When I first landed in Japan after like 12 hours of flying, just went straight to the hotel with me and Kayla, or you may know her, Anya Huckleberry or Shads. Went straight to the hotel, then hit the town for dinner, and I came across a Stamashi restaurant, which is a stamina rice bowl, and I just fell in love at first sight. It was so good. It was so good that I had to attempt to bring it home and make it myself today with these ingredients. I will be putting the recipe in the description as always. Let's go. Alright, first off, we are going to be slicing up our onions. To start off, we'll be doing spring onion. First off, get rid of the rubber bands, get rid of that, toss that aside. And before you get into cutting, make sure that you give it a good wash, because as it is a vegetable, it's also ground grown, so some leftover dirt will be in there. So you just gotta give it a little wash out before you start cutting. Otherwise, your spring onions are going to be very dirty, and no one wants that. After that's done, there's a lot of this like loose hanging stuff that just feels like very brittle and wasteful. Yes, I agree, but we still need to make the most out of our spring onion. So gather up in a pile, grab like the top end, grab the bottom bit here, line it up here, nice and flat, wrapping around the spring onions here, and then grabbing a good bit of the top end, slicing that off, putting that away. Yeah, I'll figure it out later. And then for the rest of the spring onions, just cutting them into small, like centimeter, half centimeter pieces, while keeping a hand wrapped around together and the spider grip. While I cut up these onions, let me tell you more about Japan. The day after we arrived in Tokyo, we had Tuesday to check out the best ways to empty our wallets. One of the first things I bought was this thick Fuecoco from the Pokemon store. Then we went ahead down to Akihabara, the nerd city, for some taiyaki. It was a Magic Art version. Very nice, very hot, very sweet. Then we headed over to Shibuya, went through the famous crossing, which was just chaotic. Entered the Nintendo store, ended up just vibing to the Mario music, honestly. Now we chop the shallots. Usually you would use like a brown onion or brown, white or red onion, but I like shallots because it has a nice flavor to it, and because the shallots are super tiny, they're going to be a lot easier to cut. And also, we're not dicing them today, we're just slicing them. So as always, we grab each end, slice them off, toss them aside, peel the skin as always, peel them off, and just because we're slicing them, we're going to be slicing it lengthways, like so. Day 3, we tried some Japanese macas. The teriyaki chicken burger was pretty good. There was a New York cheesecake McFlurry that just tasted sour for some reason, and melon soda. That stuff was delightful. Then I realized I needed to pack away Fuecoco for traveling around, so we headed to Daiso to pick up a vacuum seal bag and got interviewed there.
とってもクリエイティブ。
日本人のアイデアはすごく革新的だよね。困りごとを最も簡単にスパッと解決してくれる。
After that, we went to Studio Ghibli, but unfortunately we weren't allowed to do any filming or photos. Later that night, we headed to Ikebukuro for the Muscle Girls bar. That was a fun experience. Every drink we had was served in a 5-kilo glass pint. They had some dance routines, and I got a shrine lift. Right, the onions are done cutting up. That's all the fresh prep we have to do. You would slice the meat also, but because I went to the Asian supermarket, they had it pre-sliced, so lucky me, less work for me. And I've just completely forgotten that I need to actually cook rice, so let's do that. So since we're doing 4 servings, which is a typical family, get 1 cup of rice, and then a 2nd cup of rice. And then next, fill it up with cold water, then give the rice water a wash. Rice water is very good for plants, acting as a shampoo and other healthy nutrients. So we're just gonna give a nice little plant here. Nice little plant here. We keep washing the rice until the rice water becomes semi-opaque. That's just what we want. We want semi-opaque. Once your water has been cleaned, you then do the finger method to measure the rice, which is dipping your finger, remembering which part of your finger is actually, which part of your finger reaches the top of the rice, then using that as a countermeasure. Right now it's like a little above my index like here, put that on top of the rice, so I need it to be a little above there. That is good. Then we grab the rice and put it in the microwave. Yet again, I know I don't have a rice cooker, nor do I want to pot boil rice. Sue me. So we took a bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto, saw the Mount Fuji, all in its beautiful glory, all the snow around the area. That was cool. And arriving in Kyoto, we had a nice, very nice hotel around. Then we moved on to the Nintendo Kyoto store. I found a lot better stuff to spend my money on. And dude, that store was massive. Saw some nice JDM cars. Not much of a car person though, but they were cool. And I found out what Mickey sounds like in Japanese. I can't show any more Disney, otherwise Disney will come after my kneecap, so sue me. Alright, after all that prep, now comes the actual cooking part. So to start off with, we're not going to have the heat on the pan, just the pan in there. We're going to add our 4 seasonings to make the soup slash broth itself. We got some dashi here, we got sake, we got mirin, and we got soy sauce. Now we just stir. In the video they use chopsticks, so I will be doing the same. Just stir to combine. A bit thick, but honestly I think that's what we want. Alright, now that we have that, we're going to add our onions in. Still not cooking, still not cooking. Add our onions in. Everybody get our onions in there. Just the shallot, not the spring onion. Spring onion comes in at the end. So yeah, getting the spring onion, covering it in the broth, and trying to separate all the layers. Trying to get it as separate as possible. Might be better if I just use 1 stick. Now that the onion's in there, now we get the beef in there. God, I miss easy to rip plastic. Now I get to feel the actual consistency of this. Oh, that is thin. That is nice and thin. Oh, that is good. Right, then we're just layering our meat on top. You don't want to mix it in. We're just placing it on top. Everything on top. Spread it out there. Just get it all out first. Yeah. Get you in closer. So yeah, we got the meat layered on top, the onions on the bottom, all the seasoning on there. And now, next, for the actual cooking, we put the lid on and we turn it on to a medium heat. Let me start again. Medium heat. Make sure it's nice and even spread across the fire. And once it gets to a simmering, that is when we put it down to low. Put the heat down to low and then cook cover for minutes. And then while it's simmering, we need to get a little skimmer to skim off the fat. And we'll be able to tell the side of the simmering by looking around the edges. It's hard to see, but looking around, looking at the lid, forming up condensation because of the heat, swirling around inside, cooking around there, that indicates it is simmering. So now we put it on a low because we've got it on the simmer. Now we're going to keep it simmering, and the lid is going to cook it all over on top. The pan already has the heat that it needs. And we're just gonna leave it like this. Alright, it's been a while. Things are actually starting to cook in here. So now I am going to find something I can put the fat in instead of just dumping it. Just use that since I'm not going to be using the fat anytime soon. And without hopefully using too much heat, I can push down, 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 tip, push down, push down, push down, push down, push down, tip, push down, push down, push down, push down, tip. Shit, I spilled that absolutely everywhere. Then we're gonna get it cook a little more because it's not completely cooked yet. And I'm gonna come back to it once I see a little more fat on the surface and all of the meat is actually cooked. Then I'll skim the fat again, and then we can put the spring onions in, cook it in one last time, and then serve. Alright, now looking at the color of it, it is looking very cooked now, so give that a little tip. Skim off the fat. Now that that's cooking a little bit, now we get our spring onions. I hope you can see that well. Yep. Get a couple of spring onions in there. Since we're doing 4, keep a couple in here. That should be good. Let that steam over just a little bit and then it'll be ready to serve. Oh yeah, spring onion. The reason why we do it at the end is because I can't explain the science of it, but if you put spring onion at the start of the cooking, it will wilt, making it very bad tasting, and it will just turn into a crisp. There's something about spring onions that just can't be cooked at the start. It's a garnish. So you have to put it in at the end of your recipe. Whatever it is, it's at the end of the recipe. Otherwise, if you put it at the start, it will wilt. I don't know what that word means, but it means bad. Wilt means bad. Don't do bad. Now that our rice is nice and steaming hot, I'm gonna grab the rice, get a fork, and then fork it. Which means getting into the sides, every single side, scooping in from under, mixing it in. Otherwise, it's just gonna cook like a cake mold. You gotta break up the rice, otherwise it's gonna be a bad time for you. Now with the rice forked, it's time to serve. And now for the part that got me sold on the whole Donburi. The egg yolk on top. So grab our egg yolk, mix it in, and the yolk just gives it that flavor that is just oh so amazing. And now for the taste test. Did I do good or did I do shit? Let's find out. I will admit, very salty, but then again, it did say to put sugar in it to de-acidify it. But unfortunately, I don't have any white sugar. I only got raw sugar, so I don't think that would work as well as just regular white sugar. But otherwise, it tastes bloody amazing. So glad I could recreate that with such perfection. But anyway, thank you again so much for watching. Thank you for listening to my narration of the Japan holiday. I hope you all enjoyed that. And hopefully I can bring some more Japanese dishes or just cooking to this channel. Anyway, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye! This is the last thing I wanted to hear going into the bathroom. Fucking moaning.